It has been a cool and smoky week here at the Stafford Motor Speedway as we get set for our first week of racing in the month of June. Hopefully the temperatures go up and hopefully everything stays dry. But when we do go racing, a lot of storylines in the first month of the season. We have recapped those, and it's going to be a big night for our limited late models.
Yes, because Riley Generators will be sponsoring an extra distance, extra money, 30-lap event to end off Friday night. And I think Matt Clement, who's been the hottest driver, no pun intended with the smoke, this season, he's going to be a huge contender to watch, not only because he's won twice out of the first 3 races, but he's been really good in the long run. He's made both his winning passes late in the event, and he's been able to pull away each time. So we'll see how well he does. We did have a 30-lapper last year. Rich Hammond came out on top, and that led to him winning the title.
Now, traditionally on these previews, we talk about the drivers to watch and the drivers that have been running well, but in the first 3 weeks, there have been some drivers that we thought would be up there contending for wins that have struggled. We'll begin with the SK Modifieds, our premier division. Couple of names come to mind, but I'll start with Noah Corner.
Yes, and it's really unfortunate for Noah because the first week he was running top 5, and then boom goes the engine, done for the day. The next race, blows the engine in practice, comes out with the backup car and the backup engine, does okay. Last week, the race went caution-free. He got held up by a near accident in turn 4, I want to say it was him, with Troy Talman and John Sandberg. Corner got held back a straightaway and never got a caution to bunch the field up. So Corner knows he's got a good car. He's got the confidence. He just needs that 4-leaf clover.
I feel like that was the story of his season last year as well. And I'll also throw in the name David Arute,
yes.
Multi-time winner a year ago, but has had a tough time finding Lady Luck here in the first 3 weeks.
Well, the first 2 races, he had overheating troubles both times. That hampered him in the finishing result order. And then last week, finally got a clean run in, but make sure the mechanical gremlins are over with. Yeah, it's kind of a surprise to see Arute struggle as much as he has so far, but part of it's just because mechanically things have not gone his way.
In the late models, I want to focus on Daryl Keene, having a tough time finding consistency, just 9th in the championship standings.
He's had a good car. That's what he has said. But whether it's just getting shuffled on the outside or in one case having a flat tire under green, costing him multiple laps, he was really good at the second half of last year. And that summer stretch, he was on a tear. This year, despite good speed and being happy with the car, just needs things to go his way. And in the late models, with how tough the competition is, you got to be near perfect to have a shot.
And Bobby Sturck is the other driver on my list. And are we expecting maybe too much from him in his first full-time season in the division after finding so much success in the street stocks, just 14th in points right now?
It's a jump to go from the street stocks to the late models. And Bobby Sturck has said it's a humbling process to go from 6 wins last year to just trying to figure out the car setup. They're still learning about it. They're trying things. He's not the only one in the late models aside from Keene that's had a lot of bad luck. I'm talking about Alex Fern.
Alex Fern, since they rolled that car off the truck on Napa Spring Sizzler weekend, has had a tough time finishing, whether it be a crash in turn number 1 where she got up on 2 wheels or just mechanical issues, has relegated her outside of the top 15, I believe, in the first 3 races.
And last week, she was making her way through the field from last, only to have issues with power steering, bring smoke out of her car, parking her for the day. So again, luck is so important. How many drivers will tell you sometimes it's better to be lucky than good?
In the SK Light Modifieds, let's focus on one of the veterans of the division, Bob Charland, usually up toward the front. It's been a while since he's been in Napa Victory Lane, but he's contended into the top 5 more times than not. Not the case this year.
No, he's had trouble with incidents. He's just not had any good fortunes trying to avoid accidents. The second week of the first week, I think he just got stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
The second week, he got caught up in an incident in turn 1 where he and Hovey got together, and he just didn't have a chance to recover because it was so late in the race. And then the previous race, the third race, the most recent race, he gets caught up in the big pileup on the backstretch where he gets into Amanda West, and that ends his night on lap 3 of 40, by the way. It was an extra distance event. He says he's just got to run his own race, just not be too aggressive, do what he's got to do, and just make up the deficit he's found himself in because of these accidents he gets caught up in, which are not really of his own doing.
And you mentioned Amanda West.
Yes.
Wow, it doesn't get much worse than her start. And it all started with, a flat tire, or the tire came off the rim during the first heat race of the year for the SK Light Modifieds, and she's never been able to recover.
And that tire came off the rim before the green flag even came out. So it set her back. She had to get in through the consi, got in through the consi, and then gets caught up in a lap 2 incident, ends her day. And then the second race, she gets caught up in 2 incidents, manages a top 20 nonetheless, but again, just can't get a clean run going. And then the most recent race, lap 3, takes a huge hit to the back end of her car after getting in a pileup, ends up finishing in the back again. And what's tough is when you're set back like that, it's so hard to claw your way back into the handicap. And the handicap is so key because it helps you get a better starting spot. So she's got her work cut out for her, but we saw drivers last year like Alex Pearl, George Bissett Jr. have terrible starts to the season as well, and they were able to at least substantially recover what they lost. We'll see if Amanda can do it. She needs a clean run so that she has time to focus on making the car better instead of putting the car back together.
Hard to do with fields of 35
Yes.
every week. Some great fields for the SK Light Modifieds. Limited late models. Let's talk about Gary Patnode. Tough start to the season, buried in points. I say buried, 8th in the championship standings, but unlike Gary in that 22 team.
And he knows he's got a good car. And he won twice last year, including one of the best drives of the season where he went from, I think, 11th to 1st without a caution. But this most recent race was his worst luck because he and Damian Pilardi got together coming off of 4 on lap 2, and it cut his right front tire, ending his day. Patnode has been okay. He's got a 5th and a 6th before that DNF last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say. So we'll see what Patnode can do, just a week-by-week basis. In this division, you really can't afford a bad week.
And we'll wrap up with the street stocks, and there's only one driver that comes to mind. He is 16th in points, having a tough time competing or completing the first couple laps in 2 of the first 3 features, and that's Travis Downey.
Opening week, gets involved in a lap 1 pileup. Second week, gets black flagged for causing an incident, manages to make his way back up to just outside the top 5. And then the most recent race, big pileup on lap 2, nowhere to go. He gets caught up in that, ends his day. I mean, that's rough for a guy who we know is a championship favorite heading into this year after how he ended 2022. And he said in the wintertime, I would like to not have, I think it was 5 DNFs last year. He's already got 2, and it's not been his fault. That's just the way it goes sometimes, and he knows that. He says all you can do is just prepare for the next Friday, put the car back together, and see what you got. That's all you can do.
All of this part of Kids Night. Big wheels ready to go behind me, at least one of them. We're going to give it a test here in just a moment. But always a fun race on the front stretch involving a lot of our Monday Night Wild Thing kart competitors that compete here on Friday night in the big wheels.
And, I mean, heck, we've had photo finishes.
We have.
That we have to go to the replay on the video screen to find out who came out ahead of who. It's fun, and the fans love it. The drivers are on the front stretch watching these kids race. They cheer on for them, and they are so competitive. They want to win that race. I remember one of the drivers last year that won the big wheel race. He had his hand up in the air. He was so excited when he crossed the line knowing that he won. That's what it's all about, and that's how these kids may, realize, this racing thing is kind of fun. I wonder where I can go with it.
It all begins 6 o'clock here on Friday night, highlighted by the limited late models and the Riley Generators 30, along with Kids Night here at the Stafford Motor Speedway. And if you can't join us here in person, be sure to tune us in on Flow Racing.